and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this year's first, Game of the Year episode. It's something that we do normally. This is a Double Barrel Gaming Presents type of episode. You're going to see a bunch of characters here that you may not have seen before. If you remember from last year, these are one is my brother, of course, Neo Mental, and two of my very good friends who I grew up with during the Funcoland days. And we get together each and every year to do our annual Game of the Year. Again, it's kind of nerdy, but we've been doing it for over a decade. And obviously, since getting into podcasting 6 years ago, we all decided that this would be a good way to not only share our love of video games, but with you and bring the community involved. But let's get into the introductions. And I'll start first with the clean-shaven Jay the Retro Gamer. Kind sir, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for shaving and looking all prim and proper.
Yes, I was looking like Grizzly Adams a little more than 20 minutes ago, but glad to be here. Glad to see everybody, and just looking forward to everything we got to talk about.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun episode. Again, we do this every year, and we usually have very stout lists. I think that, it's been such a great year for gaming in 2023. I actually did not have that much of a difficult time putting it together as I did in years past, literally because everything on there was just tip of the spear. But this should be a great conversation. A big thank you to the nearly 100 people that are already here. Please, while you're here, hit the like button, of course. And if you're not already subscribed, consider helping Mrs. Boom and I hit 15K in 2024. Jay the Destroyer, what's going on, brother? Long time, no time. How you feeling?
Exactly. The nice thing about this show, the one time that it is of the year, is I feel like, we have very diverse lists.
Yes.
And I think people will see that on our lists, like there won't be certain games that you'll see won't show up. And there'll be other games that you probably never heard of.
Yep.
Because we, have a lot of diverse tastes.
Yeah, indeed. No, and that's the fun about it. There's no set pattern to it. There is a top 10. There is a most disappointing, which we will get into momentarily. Of course, we're going to have our biggest surprise and what we're waiting for, our top pick for 2024. And we do know a lot about what's releasing this year, so that should not be very difficult. But last and in no way least, my very good brother, Mr. Neo Mental, the Starborn of 2077. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I am frantic. It's like I was saying to you before. I've been having a crazy morning. Work has been insane. My system selector decided to die last night, so I'm now plugging things in directly. If I want to switch different systems, that's a whole other thing. And Apple TV can kiss my behind. So other than that, I'm happy to be here with my friends. I can't wait to see you guys tonight. It's been forever since I think the four of us have actually been together.
Yeah, it's been 4 years.
Yeah, I think it was pre-pandemic. So looking forward to having some fun, talking some games, and my usual shenanigans.
Well, it should be fun. And let's rip the band-aid right off, folks, and get into our biggest disappointment. Obviously, we're going to go in order. We're going to do a round robin here. And I want the chat to get involved. Obviously 2023, if it can be remembered for a lot of things, it's the ridiculous amount of choice, no matter what platform you are on. First party, third party, second party deals, as well as indie, which showed up in a big way in 2023. There was a lot to play. And most people, including myself, we're playing multiple games, which is something I can't stand to do. But unfortunately, because there's limited time and only 24 hours in a day, you only have so much time to get into gaming. And I found myself jumping from game to game to game. But there were several games that I expected to be big and wind up playing, and was kind of sad that I spent the money on it. But I'll start first with Jay the Retro Gamer. What is your biggest disappointment of 2023?
I actually have quite a few of them, but the one that stands out the most, and anyone that knows my gaming taste will be sort of surprised to hear this, but Avatar.
Yes, that's a good one.
Was a big one. I mean, this was supposed to be a slam dunk. The beautiful world of Avatar mixed with Ubisoft's like open world formula. I did not expect it to be as disappointing as it was. I gave up pretty much an hour, 2 hours into it. I just didn't connect with it. Otherwise, the other two that I just want to stand out is the Metroidvania's Last Faith, which very much looked like a Castlevania for 2023, and that was not good. And Island 2. If you know, that game got a lot of hype. I love the original one, but this one just didn't do it for me.
I mean, they're all good picks, and it's unfortunate because you are Mr. Castlevania, or Metrovania, I should say.
Yep.
And I would imagine that one of your games could be in your top 10 of 2024 is going to be Prince of Persia, because that is freaking excellent. And if you are a Metrovania fan, you should definitely give it a shot. It's well worth the money, but I would even dare say that there's been so many good games from Ubisoft Plus in the last couple of releases that it's worth investing and spending the $18 a month, because this game, like I said, the deluxe package is $60, but it's worth every penny. If you want to just buy it, I say just try the service, because there's going to be a lot of big Ubisoft stuff releasing this year, so it'll be worth its weight in gold. Good picks.
I don't have an issue with that, but I do have an issue when you come out and publicly say that you don't that people need to get used to not owning their own games.
That was probably not a smart thing.
That's a whole separate discussion.
Yeah, no, it's true, and it's a discussion that the community is having right now, because obviously there is something to be said about you buying a disc, and now discs are starting to go away. A perfect example of that is what they did with Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is not available physically. They just announced Hellblade 2 is only going to be a digital release. And honestly, I don't have an issue with that. I stopped collecting discs a long time ago. But
that's going to be the standard. That's not going anywhere. I mean,
I'm not even talking about necessarily the physical, just this idea that, I don't have control over the games that I've purchased. And
it's an issue.
Companies can just take access to games that I bought at any time. So I know it's not as nefarious as that, but I just don't like the whole concept of it.
No, it's definitely going to be a conversation that we're going to have at one point. And I think it's a good conversation to definitely have. Maybe we can even, instead of doing this once a year, actually get together every couple of months and maybe tackle a gaming conversation that seems to be hot news. That actually would be kind of cool.
I would love to.
I would like to revisit that, because I think that is a real issue, and I think that if we talk about it, the companies would be less likely to try and pull the wool over our eyes. But Jay the Destroyer, what's going on, brother? Good morning.
Good morning. My biggest disappointment is not really a game. And we could, I also want to discuss this tonight when we all get together. But my biggest disappointment is toxic gaming.
Ah, yes.
On both sides.
Yes, all sides, actually.
And, a lot of times, when we were kids, and I'll be as quick as possible. When we were kids, the whole console war and all that kind of stuff. When we were kids, we were kids. So it was like you had a Super Nintendo, you had a Genesis, and it was like you stood up for it because that's all you had. You didn't have money. And I'm just finding that nowadays, grown men with jobs who have expendable income are fighting over these things. And back in the day, when Aliens versus Predator came out, I wasn't complaining about, oh my God, it's not for the Super Nintendo or the Genesis. I went out and I bought a Jaguar. When whatever came out, for the 3DO, I went out and I bought a 3DO. And it's like, I just don't understand this. Like I said, it literally, I find it equal on both sides. If you're complaining about not having it on a PS5, go buy an Xbox. If you're complaining about it being on the Xbox and not on the PS5, or the other way around, go buy a PS5 and stop complaining about it, because 99% of you are grown men with jobs. So get over it and stop complaining. And believe me, we could talk about this later, but it drives me nuts. I'm not just, on a lot of shows. And I just don't get it, because, again, we're not talking about kids in the chat or in any of these other podcast chats. We're talking about 90% of them are grown men who work for a living. So there you go. That's my biggest disappointment is just toxic, like I don't know, man. So
no, it's I love it. I love the fact that instead of just picking a particular game, you decided to tackle an actual community issue. And you know what? Look, there are ways to do it where you kind of poke fun, right? And again, I'd be the first one to say that I'm not a big fan of. You never hear me calling people ponies, right, or bots.
But people on your show do.
They do, and they're
Okay.
absolutely entitled to their opinion to say so. Yeah, there's no censorship here.
I get that. I totally get that. I totally get that.
It's unfortunate, but I will say that the toxicity that that you see that it goes too far is when it becomes personal. Now you can cap for your plastic boxes all you want, and I hear you. Like I said, I have an order of how I support these consoles. Xbox being first, Switch being second, and Sony being third. Sony's third because Sony does something that I like a lot, which is single player, story driven, over the shoulder type of experiences. I only put it on and turn my console on when there is one of those experiences. Spider-Man was one of them. Whatever they released this year that may be something of that stature, I'll then turn on my PlayStation 5. Other than that, I don't turn it on. But for Xbox, that's where I play. But I'm not going to go and dump on someone for playing on PlayStation. And I don't think you should either. But again, to each is everyone's own. As long as they don't make it personal and we don't start talking, like getting really nasty, you can have all the opinions you want. But that's a really good pick. I actually really do appreciate that. Neo Mental, my actual brother in real life, folks. Now you got a chance. Obviously, I think this is one of the years that you played a lot of games, but I know Starfield took over your life for a bit, like many people. What is your biggest disappointment regarding 2023?
Well, if anyone remembers last year, I was really, if people don't know, I'm a huge Division fan, player, whatever. And I was really looking forward to the day before. And that game, excuse my French, shit the bed. That was the funniest and saddest story of the year for me. The game was literally initially looking like the Division, set in New York, the whole 9 yards.
It looked good, dude. It looked really freaking good.
I forgot it even came out.
Dude,
it came and went so fast.
It's crazy because the developer already had a ton of issues, and it was looking like we weren't getting this game because every when I log into YouTube, since I'm following so many Division YouTubers, literally all these things are this game's new level of fakeness and all this other stuff, and they finally announced that we were getting the game, and I was like, oh shit, we're actually getting this, and then we got it. And I was so crazy at work, I didn't buy it yet. And then that night, I'm watching Brian Menard, and it was these people were playing the game, and it was this is A, not what we were initially supposed to get, and B, it's effing horrible. So I was like, let me wait before I pull a trigger on this one. And then I think a couple of days later, they were like, yeah, well, we're shutting down the game, and we're going out of business, and we're not giving anybody back a refund. It was just this horrible, horrible, horrible series of events. It is just, yeah. So that definitely hurt because I was really looking forward to that. And also disappointment. Really just the amount of layoffs and devastation.
Fantastic pick, dude. That's fantastic. Yeah, talk about it.
Because I feel like this should have been the year of gaming that as teenagers we wanted, or as kids that we wanted. The amount of games that came out, no homework would have been getting done, no going outside, none of that. And to have so many good games and things like that, but yet see the industry marred by just a bunch of greed. Just no other way to say it. Corporate profits will always take the top, but to see guys just get just screwed, it's it's horrible. And I'm in advertising, so like AI is like decimating a lot of things. So to see that going through the industry as well it's crazy. Like it's kind of hard to enjoy things sometimes when you see all of these behind the scene things, and it's like it's sad, it's really sad.
No, it's true, and it's a bit unfortunate because to start the year, now mind you, we're only 20 days into 2024, right? We're not even through the first month. And in some places, it has been noted that upwards of 25% of layoffs that happened last year have already occurred. That is scary. And that is definitely concerning. And it does make you playing a game from a company that, obviously these are real people. They're people that make the games. I think a lot of times we forget that. And I'm not saying we as just us on the panel. I think the community as a whole, we forget that these games are in fact made by human beings, and they put a lot of years of work into it. And when it doesn't work out, or they've made it to the end of their journey with said game, and they're sent packing instead of being moved on to another project, it's disappointing. And I, again, just being a good human being, it's hard to enjoy something knowing that the person that made this game is now on the outs. So that's a phenomenal point, and I'm glad we're having this conversation. Shout out to D Diaz, who my personal friend of Mrs. Boom and I actually many years. Shout out to that man.
It's my guy.
Love him like a brother. Yep. You know what, guys? Before we get into the top 10, and of course, Jay the Retro Gamer is going to explain to us how do we come to these numbers, as he does every year, because sometimes we forget. I kind of want to throw a little monkey wrench into here because we have our biggest disappointment, but I want to add our biggest surprise of the year. Now, I want to go first because for me, Dead Island 2 is my biggest surprise of 2023. It had absolutely no right to be as good as it was. It went through 5 different developers, almost 10 years of development, and it should have come out and just been a complete mess. And it's probably one of my favorite games of the year. Everything about Dead Island 2 is just, I cannot wait for DLC. I hope there's going to be a sequel because I just thought it was so well done, so well voice acted. So much greatness came the way of making your weapons and just finding new ways to destroy the zombies. It was one of my favorite games. I put a significant amount of time into it. So that's my biggest surprise. Jay the Retro Gamer, what is yours, sir?
Kind of caught off guard. Excuse me, kind of caught off guard with this one. But if I'm put on the spot here, it's a game that I did not actually get to play, but from seeing all the press, and it's still on the top of my backlog, and that is the return and the turnaround story of Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So again, it's on the top of my backlog to actually get to, but I'm really happy that it ended up turning into the game that everyone had hoped it would be when it came out a few years ago. So
that's a good pick, because not only did Cyberpunk, the original game 2077, get this like 2.0 version that literally changed everything about the game, the DLC was, from what I understand, phenomenal. Again, like you, it's on my backlog. I don't have enough time in the day to get to all of these games.
Right.
But that's a great pick. Jay the Destroyer, what is your biggest surprise of 2023?
Is how little I played a lot of the big popular games, and how much I played the small or a lot of small games. And I'll just pick one real quick. F-Zero 99. I played
phenomenal pick.
Living daylights out of it, and you'll see when I get to my list. But like free, I didn't expect it. Way better than it ever could be, or I expected it to be, and I played that more than I played a lot of other games this year.
That's a great pick, dude. And that was, again, it's a free-to-play game on the Switch of all places. Go figure. Neo Mental, what is your biggest surprise of 2023?
This question. Yeah. I would probably. I mean, I'd like to say Cyberpunk 2, but it's like, with all the stuff that they had went through, the game that came out that we got is kind of like, all right, you were supposed to do that. I guess honestly, probably for me, maybe was a game called the Bookwalker, Thief of Tales. It actually would have made my list because it's so horrible this year. Shut up, Joe. But it was a good game. I mean, the concept was one of those story ideas where it was kind of like, damn, I wish I would have thought of that. It's a guy who literally goes into books to steal, like, the big item of the book, and then he brings it back to the world and they sell it. So the game was pretty cool because you played in his world, and then you went into the book world and you could do things in the book world. And it was in Game Pass. It was pretty dope. I really loved the game. I beat it. I kind of wish it was a little longer, but it was a really good concept that I felt it was different. I really liked the game. Yeah.
Nice. It sounds dope, dude. Sounds dope.
Yeah, I mean, check it out. I think I beat it like in 2 or 3 days. It was fun. Like, just story wise, I mean, I'm a fool for a story. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
All right, well, that's good and good picks. Again, surprise topic. Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have almost 200 people here. Big
what game had a great story?
What's that?
Shut up.
Had a great story.
Shut up.
The Last Need for Speed. That had a great
one story.
What a fantastic story.
Right.
Man, oh man. Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, before we get to the big topic of the show, and of course that is our top 10 of 2023, which of course we will break down in a moment of how we get to these point systems and how it makes all sense. I gotta talk about the Volare gaming pillow, folks. Obviously, I don't like reading from cue cards, so Sean LeBrie, who has made all of my intros, all of the artwork for the channel, and who continues to just be a dominant force in the artwork field for podcasting, because he doesn't just work on this channel. He works on tons of other people's stuff as well. He put this commercial together for me, and like you've heard me talk about in the past, Volare is a small company out of Dubai, and they reached out to Double Barrel Gaming, and we decided that yes, we could do this amazing partnership, and quite frankly, both them and us are doing incredibly well, and that's thanks to you, the community. Because we have teamed up, they have been nice enough to offer my viewers 15% off their total order by using the code DBG15 at checkout. You can go to the Volare Gaming Pillow, just search the name, or you'll find the information in the show notes. But here is the commercial that Sean LeBrie put together for us. Please take a minute to check it out. All right, folks, that's right. Check out
the pillow.
Yes, buy the pillow indeed. Absolutely. I use one, and the one that I used actually was gifted to me by King David himself of the Iron Lords podcast.
Nice.
He surprised me. He sent it over, and it's dope. It has their logo. It's black with the gold trim, and it is phenomenal. And you know something, to someone that suffers from back pain like I do, it absolutely does work. So please go check out the Volare Gaming Pillow and use the code DBG15 at checkout, and you'll get 15% off your entire order. But let's move on to, of course, the big topic of the show, and that is our top 10. Now, there is a point system, and Jay the Destroyer, Jay the Retro Gamer is the one that actually came up with this. Just kind of, give the ideology behind the point system and, how you came up with it.
It's a simple matter of every game on our top 10 list is assigned a score. excuse me, a point, whereas our number 10 game is awarded 1 point, and our number 1 game is awarded 10 points. At the end of each of our lists, the game that has the highest total number of points is considered the group game of the year.
Nice. Well, there you go, folks. So we're going to go round robin, and obviously, folks, if you want to get involved and throw your top 10 in there, and into the chat, we'd be more than happy to potentially read some of that out to the masses. But Jay, the retro gamer, we'll start first with you. What is your number 10 on your list?
I really didn't want to put this too high, considering it's a game, but it's also a sort of a documentary as well, and that is The Making of Karateka. Digital Clips, the studio behind the Cowabunga collection and a number of other great collections. They put out their Gold Master series, and this particular one is a game that was released originally in 1984. Whoa. And it was this from the guy who created the Prince of Persia series. It's a martial arts action game at a time when games like this weren't being made. And this collection, basically, much like the Atari 50 last year, is sort of this exhaustive look at how the game was made. And if you're a gaming history buff, this is a no-brainer. But the icing on this cake is that they did include a simple remaster of the original game that is, to me, as much fun to play now as it was back then. And for that reason alone, it's my number 10 game of the year.
An excellent. As a matter of fact, good friend of the show who's been on many of my podcasts, who's in the chat right now, Pixel Bit G says, "Hell yeah, that game was amazing." Nice. And he says, "Jay the Retro Gamer is talking about my jam." There you go. See, so there are old folks in here like me, like you, like Pixel Bit G, who remember the classic. That's a fantastic.
It's the retro game of the year.
Well, there you go. Jay the Destroyer, what's your number 10 pick, sir?
It's F-Zero 99.
Excellent.
That's my number 10. Again, really didn't expect anything. Put so much time into it, and it really captured what was awesome about F-Zero, obviously, and just that multiplayer part was addictive. And if you haven't tried it out yet, there's really nothing stopping you.
Yeah, I mean, it's free to play, and it's really a lot of fun. I mean, it's the old school, Super NES, Mode 7 type of graphics, but it's really well done. And there are 99 players. It's shocking that this came the way of Nintendo, honestly. But good pick. Neo Mental, what's your number 10 pick?
Redfall, because I needed a game to fill his 10th spot.
Oh, that's not an excuse. That's a horrible excuse.
I was going to say.
That's terrible.
I mean, I said it just to piss him off. Hours into it, so I'm not going to argue.
I said it just to piss him off. Now, I mean, before the problems, I actually haven't played it since they fixed it. I downloaded it and logged in, and it had been so long since I played it. I was like, all right, I don't know what's going on. I'll come back to this. But when I first played it, I thought it was good enough. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, problems at all. I thought it was a decent game. I liked it. I mean, I know a lot of people had issues with it, but I'm used to playing broken things. So, but
you do play a lot of those types of games that need patches on the back end. Yeah, he gets in on the ground level. For me, it's Spider-Man 2.
Wow.
Spider-Man 2 is made the list because I'm a fan of Insomniac. I am quite enjoying I haven't beaten it yet. I'm close. But there were so many games that were ahead of it. Even though they would be considered smaller games, I thought that it deserved to be here. Again, it's why I have a PlayStation 5. I know there's a lot of people like, yeah, it's the same old formula, but I'm kind of in the camp where if it's not broken, you don't really have to fix it. I really enjoyed the back and forth between Miles and Peter. I like the connection that they had to with Venom, which is not Eddie Brock, which is at first I was gonna have an issue with that.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I'm a big fan of Venom, and I actually appreciated the way that Insomniac took the time to tell the story about how Venom is not your Venom, and they've done that in prior games with certain deaths of certain characters that were considered very ballsy moves, but they pulled it off. So it's my number 10 pick. And
now, did you not finish it because you just didn't have time? Like, what?
I didn't have time. It's not because I don't want to finish it. It's just because I started to shrink my circle of how many big games I was playing. Actually, I came to a point where I stopped playing all big games for about a month. I got open world fatigue.
Yeah,
I started playing just chumps. I wanted to go play some just arcade shooters, and I played about 15 of them. And I just kind of had to recharge my batteries because after Starfield and Hogwarts,
that was a rough chunk.
It's a lot. I try to dip my toe into Baldur's Gate 3, way over my mohawk. It's too much for me, I think. But let's go to number 9. Jay the Retro Gamer, what is your number 9 pick, sir?
My number 9 pick is Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Okay.
After reading the reviews of this game, I was fully expecting it to be the definitive Star Wars game of this generation. And while it had quite a few moments of fun, definitely more than Jedi Fallen Order did. I don't think it quite lived up to all the hype, but much to its credit, it did improve on both the combat and the platforming, but I never truly felt the satisfaction of being the badass that other action games of its kind like this allow for. I also never really connected with Cal as a character, and that's something that's really important in story-driven games like this. Overall, it's a good game, but not a great game.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's and I agree because it's not even in my top 10. The bugs
I didn't
ruined
even play it. I didn't even play the first one, which was the biggest reason why I didn't get to this one, because I felt like I had to go play the first one to get to this one.
Absolutely don't. Yeah.
And it just wasn't time. I mean, this year was just horrible for time management.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, it didn't get into mine because I did start to play it because I did beat the first one, loved the first one. The bugs were egregious. And yes, it's fixed now. I'll get back to it eventually. But Jay the Destroyer, what is your number 9 pick, sir?
My number 9, and a lot of people will probably crap all over this, and I really don't care, is Forspoken.
Okay, dude, listen, if you liked it, you liked it.
Something. Right. The demo was horrible. It was terrible. This is coming from a person who's played this game a lot. Demo was terrible. I don't know why they put it out. It was missing. It just was not representative of the actual game, of what happens in the game. Neo Mental, I know you've played it too. I think you might agree with me.
I do. It's in my top 10.
I think all the crap that was given to the character being annoying, there's a build-up where I think in the demo, it just ended up, it was instantly annoying. There was a build-up and there was sort of a reason and there was a backstory to stuff that you didn't get in the demo. And
yeah.
Okay. And I know a ton of people who gave it a shot and loved it. And just like overall, like, you know, the media and whatever just shit all over this game. And some of it is deserved and a lot of it isn't. So I don't know what to tell you, but I loved it. I really thought it was a really good game. And if you find it on the cheap and you want to give something a chance, I'm telling you, you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it.
I actually bought it for $13 during Black Friday, brand new.
Good for you.
$13.
$13.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I paid full price for it.
I paid almost full price.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have yet to play it. As time is definitely of the essence. Neo Mental, what's your number 9 pick, sir?
9 was Lamplighters League. You know, I love that whole.
Yep, that's definitely a you game.
Yeah, I love that whole XCOM style games. You know, unfortunately, I did not really get a lot of time with that game. I think had I got more time in that game, it would have been higher because everything. I like the whole style of it. I think you know, it was very polished. I love the art style behind it. Strategies were good. I got kind of attached to the characters. I just, you know, between, you know, anytime Division's got an event going on, and then, you know, this was also a lot of Cyberpunk and Starfield stuff. There was time that just got pushed away. So I really wish I had more time to play that. I got to retire like you so that I can just play games 24/7. But yeah, it was really good game. Another Game Pass game. But I actually did pay that because those are one of those studios where you're like, okay, I want more games like this. And instead of just playing it in Game Pass, I want to give them some money so that they can, keep giving me games like that. Because
hashtag support the developer, brother.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I'll give you numbers in your Game Pass, and I'm still going to give you some cash. So, I definitely want more games like that. It was dope.
Nice. Good stuff. Listen, before we get to my pick, I got to thank a few people for super chats. The first one of the day comes the way of J-Mac, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, grown men self-restrain themselves and then complain about the restraints. It's pathetic and childish. Love gaming, not plastic. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Graybeards.
Thank you.
Amen.
Sir X-Men, generous friend, another generous friend of the program, drops not one but $2 super chats. And the first one says, my biggest disappointment was the Game Awards. Indeed, I liked the stuff that they showed. I really hated how the winners were treated, that they were giving very little time to get out there and express their, desire to celebrate a very significant award in their career with their peers and, of course, the gaming community. And they were cut short in more instances than not.
And boom, that's not just the Game Awards. Let's be honest. That's almost every award show, but it was egregious this year.
Yeah.
On the Game Awards, no matter what. I mean,
yep.
I always say why are we doing more, comedy shtick, with does anybody remember, what's her name when she was playing Tekken? Yeah. And let's go through that crap. Like nobody wants that.
Or hearing from bands we've never heard of.
From bands, please stop the music. I understand game music, but just stop with did they have any bands this year just playing a song randomly?
They did. They had the Hellblade 2. They had the dance musical.
So that I don't.
They had the dance. I actually thought the dance musical thing was kind of cool.
That was interesting. I got
that's out of the game, so that
ties into a game.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's all ratings. It's all ratings.
And indeed it is. Let's see. Sir X-Men has an additional $2 super chat and says, my retro pick of the year is the Ant Stream service. Yeah, I bought that. That's pretty dope. I quite enjoyed that as well. That is really a packed service for the money that you spent for retro gaming. If you're a fan of retro gaming, you should definitely check that out. My number 9 pick, ladies and gentlemen, is Mario Wonder. Not because it's could have been potentially game of the year for a lot of people. For me, I loved it, and I loved it more watching my nephew Tyler play. That kid his skill level is just ridiculous. He's like a boss. He beat it here on my console, and I watched him play through the whole game, and then he went home and beat it again on his console. And it's just the secrets that he continues to keep finding, and it's just amazing. So I again, shout out to Nintendo for somehow or another taking a formula from 1985 in Super Mario Brothers and somehow in 2023 making it relevant, even better than the original, and upping the ante on everything about it. I loved every second of it. But again, you say, well, if you loved so much, how come it's not higher? It's because there's so many games in 2023 that I just had to put people in their place, so to speak, when it came to where you're going to fall up on my list, because there were some big surprises, even though they were considered smaller games. But we will get to that in a second. Number 8 for you, Jay, the retro gamer. What game rounds off that?
Number 8 is going to be my sort of F-Zero 99 of the year, and that is Pinball M.
Okay, nice.
I make no bones about it. I am a digital pinball fan, and I play more than my fair share. This is, you could say this is just Zen Studios packaging a bunch of horror-ish themed tables into its own game, but that core loop of continuously controlling a silver ball around a playfield never gets old to me. I frequently turn to this game when I just wanted to turn my brain off and relax with the controller for an hour or two. Sometimes it's just as simple as that.
No, I love the pick. You are the retro gamer, and there's something to be said about, yes, Grant, who doesn't love actually going to a a pinball arcade and and physically touching the machine. I totally get that. But I think that the way that they have been able to, Zen Studio more specifically, has been able to bring pinball to a gaming community and do it justice. I can't say that there's been many tables that I was like, yeah, this was a miss. Especially if you like licensed IP, they have everything. They really do.
They do. Not only like from the actual classic tables to like this one had The Thing, Chucky, Dead by Daylight, and my favorite one was Duke Nukem.
Oh wow, that's great! Wow, that's phenomenal. That's a fantastic pick, dude. That's really good. Jay the Destroyer, what is your number 8 pick, sir?
My number 8 pick. Well, listen, the Switch, I don't use it a lot, but it is a great shoot 'em up, shmup. I hate using that term so much.
Yeah, it's dumb, but
game machine. It's got, deep in that horrible Nintendo store is amazing games. It came out, this game came out the last couple days of December. It says 2023 on it, so I'm including it. It is Dodonpachi Daioju Blissful Death, which is the greatest shooter I ever played in my life. It is an old cave shooter. It came out probably in the early 2000s, and this is like a remaster of it. And it is as amazing as I could tell you. And again, like if you're into shooters, you go into the Nintendo store. 2 of the best on there are 2 games, because a lot of people don't play these anymore. Crimson Clover and Mushu Hime-sama. 2 of the most amazing games that, as amazing as they aren't as good as this. So
you got to give me all 3 of those games because I'm going to buy them today.
Got it from Japan. You gotta get at least this game from Japan.
Okay.
Physical. It's not released here yet. So
okay.
That's my number 8.
Nice, good stuff, good stuff. Shout out to the legendary Yobi in the chat. Says, "Holy S, I see 2 boomsticks. Let's go. What up, Neo Mento?"
What's good, brother?
What's going on, Yobi? Welcome, brother. Super appreciate you being here. Neo Mento, what is your number 8 pick, sir?
8 was Forspoken. I bought that day one. It looked great. Again, something else. I can't remember what made me stop playing it, but I remember playing. I only played it maybe the first 20 minutes or so and then stopped. And then I never went back to it. And then for whatever reason, a couple of months, was it? I think it was maybe early October or something like that. Something had come up. I had heard about it again. And I was like, oh yeah, I never went back to that. So I went back and I actually started playing it. And I was really enjoying it. There are issues with the game, but I think the core of it was really cool. And once you get past that first part, I mean, there's parts where you're yelling at the TV, like the very beginning when there's a fire in the apartment. I'm like, okay, we see where this is going, and it annoyed the hell out of me. But whatever, we got to progress the story. But the banter between her and the Bengal was really cool. I mean,
I agree. With you. It was funny. I actually thought it was funny.
Yeah,
and cool, and I understood where both were coming from.
Right. And they got friggin' the dude that plays Jarvis to do the voice. I'm like, okay, this works for me. So, I mean, the game is solid. I mean, listen, am I going to sit there and say, well, I wish she was this or she was that? I mean, come on. Now you're nitpicking. The game is a solid game, especially if you could pick it up now for $20, there's no reason why you're not playing this game.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I really wish I didn't finish it, but I think more than about halfway through it. And there's some hard battles, and I was playing it on normal. So it's challenging. It's a good game, good story. Once you get past certain parts, I think it did not deserve all the crap that it got. So I wish I rated this higher.
Nice. No, it's a good pick, and I'm glad that we're talking about it because a lot of people did dump on it. Like I said, I got it for $13 during Black Friday, brand new.
Dude,
I'm the only one. I'm the only one who doesn't actually own the game, but so I feel bad. I really do want to get it now and at least give it a proper chance.
Yeah, dude, put it on friggin' review mode and just enjoy it. I think they even structure it like story mode or something like that.
Yep,
worth it. No, I'm definitely going to give it a shot. A good reason to turn on the PlayStation 5 as that is an exclusive, but I think it actually is coming eventually to.
It is coming to the Xbox because I think I saw I saw something, and I remember when I was getting ready to play it, I was like, "Oh crap, it's coming out for the Xbox," but I was like, "I already bought it. I'm not gonna buy it again." But
Right.
yeah, no. But dude, you paid $13 for it.
Yeah,
play it. It's worth it. You'll enjoy it.
Absolutely, that's a good pick. My number 8 pick is another Nintendo game that probably on many other people's lists would have been closer to Game of the Year, or at least in the top 3, and that is Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I absolutely love this. I am currently, and I didn't beat it again because it's one of those games that it's just so big. It got put into the backlog. I am currently at the last of the big 4 bosses before Ganon. So I definitely have to finish this particular mission, fight this 4th boss, get the one of the 4 of members in my team, and then go take on Ganon, and I'll finish it. I loved the first one, and this one just is it. You know, again, it's if you enjoy the cooking, the exploration, the puzzles, the pyramids that the shrines that you find, they offer such an amazing challenge. And I think really what sets this apart in probably showing that, Nintendo really does know what they're doing is the building mechanics in this game. I mean, if you have a pointed imagination, you could logistically build anything. As a matter of fact, one of the bosses that I had to fight, I had to literally build a mine cart to get to the top of this mountain. And then while I was there, build an actual flying device to take on this thing. It's just incredible. And like I said, in any other year outside of 2023, this would have been indefinitely in my top 3. Unfortunately, it's just such a packed year for gaming. Jay the Retro Gamer, let's get your numbers.
Can I stop you for 1 second? Boom.
Sure, go ahead.
1 second. Someone in the chat had said, and let me throw this out to the 3 of you. Someone in the chat had said, "Hey, Jay the Destroyer, not everyone can afford every system." I wasn't saying that, so I don't want you to get that idea. What I'm just saying is this is the business, and this has been the business for the last 45 years.
Yep.
Okay? So it's just about it's really about don't complain. Like this is the business. You have to accept it. Exclusives are a thing that were from day one. Not every game comes out for every system. And it's really just like, I'm certainly not telling everyone to, don't pay rent and go get a new system or something like that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is really just don't complain. And this is the way the business is. And it's not going to change tomorrow. It's not.
As it should.
You want to
let me try and beat a dead horse real quickly for everyone. So I'll put the hat on. Do you watch sports at all? Do you enjoy sports? Yes? No?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you, third. Do you enjoy to watch sporting games at all?
I'm not answering that.
Okay. All right. My point is that it's tribalism. It's everywhere. You cannot defeat tribalism. That. The problem is, and without going too far into it, people don't get punched in the face anymore. And the reason why I say that is because people on the internet will say anything to anyone. They will not say those things to your face in person. People don't argue the same way in person as they do on the internet. You get behind a keyboard and a screen or a phone, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm the toughest guy in the pen, and I'm going to kick you in your effing ass, and your system sucks, and you get no games, and you get none of this." People don't know how to be adults anymore. That's all it is. That's all it is. Like, if I'm going to tell Boom, "Hey, listen, the Steelers suck, and I'm glad you got beat," yeah, but at the same time, he's going to turn around and say, "Well, your Giants weren't even in, and you're having a horrible year." You do those things. That's what you do. The problem is, I remember being at a fantasy football draft night, and one of the guys brought his kid with him, and we were talking games real quick, and I said something about Xbox, and 12-year-old kid goes, "Xbox sucks. They don't got no games. Get a PlayStation." And I was like, "Kid, I will slap the crap out of you. Keep your mouth shut." No, but the problem is he's regurgitating everything that he said. And I said, but I said to him, "Well, We have all these games that I'm playing. So what games don't we have? I mean, the argument is just a regurgitation. What games don't we have? We have games you might not like.
Right.
But if people are playing games and enjoying it, why are you coming to piss in my sandbox? That's the problem. So
no, it's true. It's true. And
my thing is, you have something to say to me, say it to me in person, because it's not going to be the same conversation. So all of the internet stuff, that's why you don't see me on Twitter anymore. I go into Twitter and I start looking at it, and then the second I see a bad tweet, I just close the app, which means I get like 6 tweets a day. That's it. Leave the internet alone because they're all stupid.
Discourse is fine. We just have an issue with the toxicity when it gets toxic.
Well, because people don't know how to have a conversation. You want to debate me? Debate me. I will debate anyone, anytime, anywhere. It's not going to be the same as a conversation. But your system sucks. Meanwhile, my PlayStation is collecting dust. Not because I'm an Xbox. I like all systems. Love them all. Have them all. Play them all. I just prefer to be on the Xbox. I have all my friends have multiple systems.
Yep.
Still prefer.
We all do. Xbox. We all support all the systems. Yep.
So,
and that's fine if you're somebody who doesn't have the means to have them all. Just enjoy the games on the system you have and keep away from the toxicity of shitting on someone else's setup.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
Because if you're gonna tell me I'm gonna hurt you with words, and I'm gonna have you going home crying. I'm from the Bronx, so I don't play it. So knock it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, dude. Joe, first of all, I don't even think you needed to explain yourself. Said person.
No. I do. I'm not on every day. I'm not. I mean, maybe I'm some kind of, whatever, where I'm like, oh, go get it. Go spend your money. I'm not talking about that.
No. I didn't get that at all. I never got that from what you said. That's not what you were referring to. Apparently, this gentleman was in his feelings. Don't be in your feelings, brother. We understand that no one is supposed to be able to afford
I know that.
everything. And you know something? We've been all gaming for over 40 years. We understand.
We're not all rich like Jay the Retro Gamer. Look at that apartment.
Look at that place. He's got a piano, folks. That's all I can say. He doesn't even play. That's ridiculous.
He tickles the ivories.
Yeah.
I mean, here we go.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Again, no, I appreciate the side tangent. I'm glad that you did explain yourself. You didn't have to, but I'm glad that you did because, again, that's not what you were trying to invoke. That's not the conversation. It was, listen, stop complaining because you can play on anything you want. And if you find the means, and some people can, you can own all consoles. And I say this all the time. Not every game is for every gamer. And, of course, not every system people can afford. But that's never been a problem here. Afford play what you like. And if you can afford only one, then enjoy that.
Make the best decision you could make with the games you like and make that purchase. Again, like the four of us did when we were kids.
Yep.
And that's it.
Or you can.
Dave Reezy in the chat agrees with all of us. He says, Jay the Retro Gamer is balling. Money man, LOL.
Yeah.
Buy a PlayStation, and then you can play all of your games on Xbox Game Pass and the cloud service, and then you can have both systems. Look at that. I've solved the problem.
We're in very fortunate times.
I fixed it.
To have
you can stream all of your games. I've solved the problem. Next up is world peace. I'm on it.
Let's get it done.
Let us know when you let us know when you crack that one.
Yeah. Well, Jay the Retro Gamer. Let's go to your number 7 pick, sir.
All right. Kind of hard to follow that one, but give it a shot. Number 7 is going to be the God of War Ragnarok Valhalla.
I didn't
Does that count?
What?
Does that count?
Yeah.
Well, it's an expansion.
Okay.
It's been on list before, so we can certainly include it. I'm usually not a fan of roguelikes, but Sony made this.
He's talking about the DLC that launched. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
look, it's a separate. It's not.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's not it is a separate type of game. Like I said, being a roguelike.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the combat of the original game, you're gonna feel right at home with this one. And like any good roguelike, you're gonna continually die, but Kratos feels so good to control that you always want to just go back for just one more run. And the game does reward you, even if you don't have a good run, so that you feel like every time you go back in, you're going to be just a little bit better. I mean, it wasn't the story progression that I was hoping for, but it was a fun, it was a fun romp nonetheless. And it continues Kratos' path to self-redemption and proves that the original success was no fluke.
Well, I mean, listen, at least it was free. You got to give Sony some credit. Yeah, it was free. Absolutely. Free. Yeah, it was free.
Wow.
Again, so you didn't even know, because that's how surprising it is. Very, very shocking.
I mean, I knew it was out. Unfortunately,
they give away nothing. They nickel and dime the hell out of you.
Yeah, that was the whole big thing. Yeah. Well,
surprising. I think that's a fine pick, actually. Jay the Destroyer. What's your number 7, sir?
Just to make up some time, I'm going to leave this short and simple. Forza. I loved it. I thought the control was great. I thought I liked it. I love every Forza, but I love this one a lot. I put in a ton of time, and I just thought it was really good. I know a lot of people crapped on it in like certain ways, but I don't know where that came. I didn't have any. I loved it. There you go.
Yeah. No, that's a good pick. And again, it's one of those games. I quite enjoy it. I put over 40 hours into it. I'm not sorry that I did, but I'm more of a Horizon guy, so I'm looking forward to Forza Horizon 6. Hopefully they venture out into Japan, like that is the rumor. But that's an excellent pick for your number 7. Neil Menta, what's your number 7?
7 was the Monkey Island DLC for the Sea of Thieves.
Right, it's a fantastic pick, dude. And I kind of knew that. I'm actually surprised it's number 7 for you, because you're such a big fan of Monkey Island.
Yeah, I really dislike Sea. I mean, Sea of Thieves itself is a great game. It's you need a crew, and unfortunately, my crew is stuck in Division, and we're never getting out of there. So the Division is the only game I'm going to play with a crew. So playing solo was just no one's having a good time. But once I heard the Monkey Island stuff was coming out, I was like, oh, I got to check this out. And seeing it in 3D was frigging awesome. Like, it was just, the story of it was good. It was dope. I was having a blast. I like how they had it. It was a little episodic. I haven't finished it. I need to go finish it. But I thought it was one of those things where when they announced it, it was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And it was really good. I loved it. And it was free. So go play it right now if you
again, just amazing. An amazing expansion. And it was free. It was just an update, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's a solid pick. My number 7 pick came out of absolutely nowhere, had no right to be as good as it was, is RoboCop. What an amazing game. If you are a fan of the films, it just oozes with personality. Everything about this game and its graphics, it looks so good. It's running in Unreal Engine 5. You can just tell that the developers are fans of this film, and it really, really did harken back to what RoboCop was. The environments were dark and dirty and broken, and the bad guys were as crazy and doped up as you would expect it to be in the films. It was really, really, really well done, surprising. And this is the same company that did the Terminator Resistance, which again another one
game,
phenomenal game. I beat it
Real
twice.
Good game.
Yeah,
a lot of people crapped on that at the time too, but you know what? When they got that up to 60 frames and smoothed the whole engine out, that was a really enjoyable game.
Yep. Yeah. I bought the complete edition, if you will. They have it. It was like $11. It was like an upgrade because I owned the original one and went through that, all the DLC, and I beat everything. I think I'm missing 2 achievements from getting all 1,000. It's a phenomenal game. Yeah, that's my number 7. Let's Jay the Retro Gamer. What is your number 6 pick, sir?
Finally delving into the Metroidvania genre with this one. My number 6 game is Cookie Cutter.
Yes. Kay Asante is a big fan of that. As a matter of fact,
he has them on. I was watching this morning.
The guy that created Cookie Cutter is literally on Keosante's The Gaming Circle podcast. That's a great pick.
Oh, that is, it's a game that has the punk rock attitude and over the top violence of like if anyone remembers Lollipop Chainsaw, meshed with the smooth kind of Metroidvania gameplay and aesthetic of a game like Guacamelee, and it all works very well. The story is complete nonsense, and there is nothing, there's nothing truly innovative about it. But however, the action is solid, and while it may be fast and frantic, you always feel like you have total control over your character. I mean, I played it over a long weekend, and when the credits rolled, I just felt like, this was like a complete experience, and that it didn't overstay its welcome, which I always appreciate in games when it's, when it's just the right length. So for those keeping track at home, this is my Metroidvania Game of the Year runner-up. So still one more to come, but that's my number 6.
That's a good pick. And look at this. Look at this. Jay the Destroyer got a fan in the chat. Says by Dana Von Bargen. Who is that hottie in the Slayer shirt? I wonder who that is.
Well, I know.
I love it. I love it. Welcome to Dana. Welcome to the program. Thanks so much for being here and supporting, of course, Jay the Destroyer, our very good brother.
You will be hearing a lot about her. There you go.
As we should. As we should, brother. That's good to hear.
Yes.
Listen, Jay the Destroyer, what's your number 6 pick, man?
It's Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Okay, that's a strong pick.
I loved it. It's really not much I can really say about it. It was a little wonky at first. When they patched it up a couple times, I loved it. I don't know what else to say. If you didn't try it and you love Star Wars, just give it a shot. But
the open world nature of it is compared to the original one, it does give you a lot of choice. Like you can spend a lot of time on a planet. I will agree with Joe that character-wise, I never really connected with him. I don't know why.
Yeah, same here.
Never did. And that's weird because, usually for anything Star Wars, I would. I don't hate him, but he's, I don't love him either. But there you go.
It's fair. I like Cal. I know he's going to be brought into live action, which is pretty cool. I know that Dave Filoni and John are literally the ones that are saving Star Wars as we speak. Jon Favreau. I don't know where he is going to show up, but I know that he is eventually going to be brought into live action. I think that is pretty dope.
Is it true that they're making a Mandalorian movie?
They are, that John Favreau is directing and Dave Filoni is producing.
Yeah, I think it's Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yes,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Again, that film is going to be used as a bridge to Dave Filoni's film, where it's going to be like the with Thrawn, the Dark Empire. I love what they're doing, and like I said, it's those two men that are saving Star Wars because the other people in charge just.
Let's not get into that now.
Let's not go down that road.
So easily.
Absolutely. Neo Mentor, what's your number 6 pick, man?
6 is Spider-Man 2. This is actually the first Spider-Man that I've ever actually beaten. I had a lot of problems with it, but I think the core of it was a good game. The more I think about it, I think it probably should have been a little bit lower. I had a huge problem with, comic book nerd. It's like this is a guy that, can bench press like 80 tons, yet some friggin' random friggin' thug is able to knock the guy out. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, this is a guy that's like literally fighting Captain America. I'm just like, I have a huge problem with the way the game is constructed. But suspension of disbelief. I think, I like the banter between him and Miles. I didn't really dig the whole Venom change they did, but trying to do their own thing, I kept playing it. And like I said, this is the first one I actually beat. It had some good moments. Story was decent. Well, the story was really good. I hate anytime they make me play as NJ. I'm just like, and again, I think that's what really, for me, made the impact, because it's like now she's got this little electric gun and she's doing more damage than Spider-Man, and I'm just like, Make this make sense for me.
I can't even disagree with you on that point.
I get what they're trying to do. I'm with you, but I just feel that like they're not utilizing him the way they should, which is probably why this is so low. But I think that it was a good enough game that it should definitely be there. So, I gave him a little bit more credit than he should have had.
All right, no, that's fair. That's fair. My number 6 pick is going to be Dead Island 2. And again, you say, boom, how could it be number 6? You talk so highly about it because that's how packed of a year it was. Dead Island 2, again, if you could find it on the cheap, I think you should definitely give it a shot. It is just amazing. And again, just to reiterate, it has literally no right to be this good. There is no doubt that it has all of the potential failings at its doorstep, meaning that it went from developer to developer to developer. It was in development hell for damn near a decade. And somehow, some way, they made endearing characters, and the world is just so wide open, and it's violent, and it's funny, and it's goofy, and the weapon choices were phenomenal. The weapon building was awesome. I loved every second of it, and I cannot wait for the DLC. And I do really hope that this game garners a sequel. That's why
DLC did come out for it.
Yeah, do it again. It did. I have not had a chance to get to it. And that's another shameful aspect of playing too many games. It's just I know it's there. I have it. I bought it. I bought the deluxe edition of it. I just didn't even download it yet. It's just sad. But that's my number 6. Jay the Retro Game. What is your number 5? Now we're getting to the top 5 of 2023.
Now we're getting a little more interesting. For me, number 5 is going to be Horizon Forbidden West: The Burning Shores story.
That is weird. That is weird. That is weird.
Why is that weird?
Why is that weird?
I have it at 5 too.
Okay. Now this was the story DLC I was hoping God of War Ragnarok would have had. I mean, it didn't take long for me to get back into the swing of things as the game picks up right after the events of the original game. The gameplay is just as varied and engaging as ever. New weapons, enemies, abilities, ways to traverse the world. The game continually still surprises and impresses. So if you're a fan of the original one, this one's a no-brainer. Just finish the original first.
Okay.
Now, I want to ask this question. You finished the first one, right? Well,
yes.
the main game.
I did finish the main game.
For everyone in the chat, this is going to be a little spoilery. If you haven't beaten the main game, just close your ears. So what did you think of that final battle between Aloy and this futuristic robot lady mech person?
I remember it. All I remember was it took forever.
It took me like less than a couple of minutes. It was the easiest fight I ever had, which is what
I get
me off.
Maybe I'm just not that good.
I mean, listen, she's a lady with a stick, with a piece of technology at the end, and she defeats this mech robot from the future. That is my biggest problem with where they're going in this game, because now we have this super sentient AI that was literally destroying the people that took everything for them to kill, and now you're going to tell me that they're going to fight with sticks?
Look, I guess I'm just the type of gamer. I do tend to suspend my a lot of disbelief when I'm playing these games.
You have to.
And how does the game feel to control? Am I enjoying the moment-to-moment gameplay? I certainly didn't have a problem with it, but I guess maybe it's just the way I play games. Games with an inherent amount of lore to them and story.
Yeah.
I don't have the capacity to really kind of dig too deep into it. I'm just kind of concerned with how does the game play.
I agree with that.
That's just me. So
no, listen. If you enjoyed it, it's a fine pick.
Yeah,
absolutely, that's a good one. No, I like it. Jay the Destroyer, what's your number 5 pick, sir?
This game ends up on my list every year. MLB The Show 23.
Okay, he loves baseball. Nothing wrong with that.
Every year, it's the best baseball game to me. And this year was the best baseball game I've ever played, and probably next year will be the best baseball game I ever played. And I played it in Game Pass. There was no reason to buy it on any other system or get it on any system, which was awesome. And if you love baseball, there is nothing to me better than this.
I really do wonder at this point if the economics of having it, the economics of having it on Game Pass has worked out for them.
Well, I mean,
what's interesting?
Well, here's an interesting tidbit. It actually sells better on Xbox than it does on PlayStation, which is a bit shocking. But that's baseball was something that Sony had for years, and even their own fans weren't supporting it. They would sell like 2 million copies per year.
Let me ask you a question. I'm not denying your research. Are you talking about actual digital
like buying
sold,
it? Yeah, no, I'm not talking about players.
Because Game Pass numbers, no one, the engagement.
No. I'm not talking about just people playing in the Game Pass that actually sell, because there are a lot of people that don't have Game Pass that just buy the game, and that is the casual audience. That this is one of those games that attracts that audience that does not buy 50 games a year. They buy 3, and it's usually a sports game, Madden, 2K. MLB The Show. They occasionally buy a first-party game, and they buy their yearly Call of Duty. But listen, I'm glad that it's available on multiple platforms. Again, I like the fact that you say you don't have to buy. It makes no sense to buy this anywhere else when you have your service. That's really what it's about. And again, I really wish Sony would adopt that same ideology. I wish that across the board. Nintendo will never do it because we keep buying their games. Sony will never do it because their budgets don't.
Well, I mean, their financials are probably different. I mean, we don't know their inner workings and stuff. I mean, and again, too, I think Xbox is factoring. They're probably factoring a lot of their advertising budget into that. So, I mean, there's, the economics are going to be different for every.
Yeah, no, it's true. I just hope I'd love to see a streaming system come across all platforms. I just don't think we're ever going to get that with the other two. You're just not. You're just going to have to continue to buy their games, and that's fine. That's a good pick, though, Joe. I actually should have guessed that. I'm actually surprised it's your number 5, not even higher, because I know you do love that game. Neo Menta, what is your number 5 pick, sir?
Well, like I said, I mean, I had Horizon at 5 too. I picked it up recently, and like Joe said, I think the story I think is really dope. I've always loved the first game. The second game, a lot of bugs when it first came out, but I finished it. I had a lot of issues with it. I'm actually concerned because I don't know how they'll go forward, because one of the characters is literally Lance.
Oh yes, dude, you're absolutely correct.
Passed away.
Yeah, yes. And there's actually a real nice monument in the game if you go, and they have this like tombstone stuff for him that's lit up, which is really dope. But the character's modeled after him, and it's his voice. So I mean, it's literally his face. So I don't know how going forward. He's a pivotal character. So I don't know how they go forward. But a lot of the story, a lot of the lore, when you're going through these things and seeing how that world dealt with how everything was being destroyed and things like that, was really good. It was really good. I think this DLC made up for a lot of the bad points of the game. So I was actually really happy with it. And I finished it, and I kind of spent a lot of time. I actually plan to go back because there's some stuff I want to do, but they added a lot of good stuff to it, so it was solid.
No, it's a great pick. My number 5, and no one has talked about this yet, is Ghostwire Tokyo. What
did not get
that? Incredible!
That
came out for the Xbox this year.
Oh, it came out for the Xbox.
No. Hold on a sec. Yeah, it did release this year. It released last year on PS5. I played it on an Xbox. That
technicality. It's a technicality. So we'll allow it.
Okay.
That is.
I did look at that. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah,
I kind of figured
I couldn't play it on my preferred console, so it did not release for me last year. It released this year. and I think that's very fair. And Ghostwire Tokyo was a game that, again, from a studio that a lot of people didn't even realize that Xbox owned. That it's just phenomenal from start to finish. It has very the hand gestures and the movements for the magic. It just screams, this is what and how a Doctor Strange game could be made. And I know that Tango is working on some DLC. I think some of it actually released already. They've already, thanks to some leaks, we know that they are making a sequel, which I would imagine it's going to be even bigger and more bombastic than the original. I hope that they really dive deep into the J horror that was at the cusp of this story that was being told. I just thought it was phenomenal. That is my number 5 pick. Jay the Retro Gamer, what is your number 4?
Number 4, much like Jay the Destroyer's love of MLB, it wouldn't be a top 10 list if I didn't have an Assassin's Creed game on there. So
it was good.
Assassin's Creed Mirage is my number 4 game of the year. So this game is billed as the return to roots. Its stealth action roots that it's had, and certainly lived up to that. While the last proper AC game, which was Valhalla, felt way too massive, in my opinion, this one felt just about right. It takes all the things about those early AC games and modernizes them for a new audience. The combat for me took a little bit of getting used to, but once I did, I was right at home with the rest of it. I mean, there's not really much more to say. Assassin's Creed is my gaming comfort food, and while I may not always love it, I always enjoy it. So,
I mean, it's a good pick. I mean, it's a smaller, certainly when you compare it to Valhalla. I never finished Valhalla.
I gave up on that one. I did enjoy it, but it was just way too massive.
Yeah, after like 30 hours, I just lost, the will to want to continue to play. I did not beat the new Assassin's Creed. I got very far into it, and again, it's one of those games that got lost, but I really enjoyed going back to the way that we first played Assassin's Creed. It was definitely a return to the original. That's a phenomenal pick. Did you beat it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, yeah, it's one of those games. I got to get back to beating that game. It was phenomenal. I
mean, pretty much what you've been playing so far, it just continues all the way through.
And and that's fine. That's exactly what I took out of the game. I very much enjoyed it. But again, I agree with you. It felt more tight niched as compared to some of the other open world ones that were just so massive that you got lost. Yes. And Valhalla was definitely one of those. That's a phenomenal pick. Jay the Destroyer, what is your number 4, sir?
My number 4 is Resident Evil 4.
Excellent, good one.
Not even just the game, just everything. Everything about it is awesome. And you'll see tonight when you see the VR part is insane. Absolutely insane. I thought it was exactly what it should be in a, whatever you want to rebuilt from the bottom. It was just, I loved it. And again, like the VR portion is amazing and it's free, which is insane.
Yeah, and another shocker, right? Yeah. And that's awesome.
I don't think I'm gonna end up trying.
No, I don't think you're going to.
I don't think so. No, folks, he doesn't like horror. Surprise!
Yeah, that's Scaredy Cat.
I just hate rehashes. That's my only problem. I'm like, why can't we have a brand new Resident Evil at this point? Like, I feel like with all of these remakes that they do, just give me new Resident Evil. Even if they
gave us renewed. They gave 7 and 8, and 7 was great.
Why
and 8 was
rehashing
8 was
the
great.
old game?
Because I think I think they felt like they had something new to offer, and also, we may be old farts, but there's a generation.
George Lucas and everything. You made it. Leave it alone.
No, keep remaking
everyone
the old
wants
one.
to be George Lucas.
Capcom, don't listen to this man.
I can add this one thing.
This
to
is
game.
a man that won't even play Resident Evil because he didn't like spiders, tarantulas that are bigger than him.
Did you play this Resident Evil 4?
I refuse to.
Okay.
I played it the first time. Why am I going back to it?
Because it's not beat for beat exactly the same, and it's nice to see it through new eyes. It's been a long time.
Yep.
How many movies have you seen not this, not it's that it's not the same thing because that would be a class. But like last night, me and my lady were watching a movie, and I was like, I haven't seen it in 20 years, and was like watching it all over again.
Yeah.
Granted, if it was a classic, I would have remembered it, but still, it's sort of like that in a sense. Like it's new, fresh eyes. There are a lot of parts in it that are a new take on Resident Evil 4. So, and it's gorgeous, man. It's gorgeous.
It's I mean, you know, listen,
and
if you went back and redid Back to the Future, I'd be upset. Leave it alone.
You have the VR. The VR is like being in a completely brand new world. You've never experienced it like that before.
You know, I can certainly understand where you're coming from, Neomental, but at the same time, you know, games like this, if they're financially successful, help fund those smaller projects and, you know, other things.
Very good.
And the new IP. Right. So again, it's a balance.
I'm going to buy it. I'm not buying Resident Evil 4. I bought it already. I'm not buying it again.
You don't have to, sir. You don't have to. I'll give it to you. There you go.
Well, God bless you. You die on that hill, okay?
Stay off my lawn.
And you know what? Let's move. Neomental, being that we're talking to you, brother. What's your number 4?
Hogwarts Legacy.
Strong pick, sir.
It should have been higher, but
you could have made it higher.
Exactly.
Wow.
Did someone put a gun to your head?
Folks, we're going to dinner in a few hours. So I will say this. If the next time we have a podcast and there's only 3 of us, you know what happened. That's all I'm going to say.
My point is that I did not get a chance to play as much as I wanted to. Like, I played it when it first came out. I think I played it for a couple months. I put it away for whatever reason. And I wanted to get back to it. And right when I started playing it again, my own fault, Starfield came out. So it got pushed back again. But the game was a lot of fun. And, you know, I think, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately. I mean, again, this was the year of games that we wanted when we were kids. And it was a lot of top tier. Like, I think a lot of number 1 games came out this year. Like, I'm looking at my top 4, and I'm like, these games could all have been Game of the Year games. It's just that they all in the running. Like, if these games would have came out in this separate year, all would have been Game of the Year games. You know, I wanted more for this game. Time did not allow, but Hogwarts was really fun. It really put you in the Harry Potter world. It kept me in there. It didn't throw me out. I think they did everything just right. You know, I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, homage to anyone that's a fan, whether you read the books, whether you watched the films, or both. They really, their attention to detail was nothing short of amazing. And there you go. And I think that the removal from the Game Awards was egregious. I know that's political. We're not going to get into it, but shame on for that committee for not recognizing the work that went into this. I know the Black Harry Potter, who's a good friend of the show, is definitely in that camp. And it's a shame.
I mean,
it's a shame that they were put on the pay no mind list, and they did such amazing work, and it's gross. Shame on you, Game Awards. I will say that, and Jeff Keighley for allowing that to happen.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley.
Yes, so, which of course, you know, Jeff knows this show. Shame on you,
Jeff.
I'm sure he knows who Mr. Boomstick is.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't he? Damn it!
I'm going to tell you, you 4. Can kiss my ass.
Yeah, I would gladly tell him that. My number 4 is right along the line with Joe. The Destroyer, Resident Evil 4 remake, number 4 pick for me. I've beaten it multiple times. I kept running through it to eventually only be able to afford to sell everything to get the rocket launcher, which I did. And it just makes everything so much fun because you're literally just running, trying to power through it in under, to try and get the achievement for beating it under a certain amount of time. And when you have the rocket launcher, nothing stands a chance. But it does take a while to get there. But I just loved every second of it. You know, guys, I'm a Resident Evil freak, and wow, what an incredible jump and leap in technology from the original one, which, of course, a lot of people don't even know this, was a GameCube exclusive for a while. Go figure that one out. Wow, go figure, Capcom. Next up, what we're hearing, and I know there's going to be several people in the community that doesn't like this, Code Veronica is getting a remake. Yes, because Code Veronica was dope, and a lot of people didn't play that game. That was also a Dreamcast exclusive at one point, which is again shocking.
All right, I'll allow that. All right.
Selective. Selective.
Wait a minute. If it came out on the system,
selective outrage.
Listen, I'm not gonna. I'm going to allow this because he's
saying is, if it came out on a system that not a lot of people played, depending on what their sales numbers are, if a lot of people,
it was low. It was low. It was.
Then that might say, okay, because then, all right, I bought it. It's not for me, but I will say, okay, people didn't get a chance to experience that. Let them experience it.
I like this logic. I'm going to allow it.
I'm not going to buy it, but I'm going to say, okay, I can understand that. It was a smaller port. All right. But if it came out on the main system, I'm not doing that because again,
listen, stand on that. Hey, Kay Asante's in the chat. Kay, what's going on, brother? Welcome. He actually just like, whom I really like. He loves this show. That's awesome of you, Kay. I love you, brother. Thank you so much for that. Jay the Retro Gamer, what is your number 3? Now we're getting into it, folks. The number 3.
All right. Number 3, Hogwarts Legacy.
Good pick, dude. Good pick.
Who knew that a game set in the world formerly inhabited by Harry Potter would dethrone Call of Duty as the best-selling game of 2020?
Did you imagine that? That's right. But please, just clarify that. I don't think people. We learned this week that the number 1 selling game this year was what Jada Retro Gamer's talking about.
Really?
Hogwarts was number 1 selling game.
I believe the number I read, and I could be mistaken, is 22 million copies.
Yeah, I'll get the
game
numbers
across. I'm assuming it's across all platforms, including the Nintendo Switch. But that's quite the accomplishment. The first thing that struck me about this game is that it is utterly gorgeous at every turn. And I'm somebody who's never actually seen a Harry Potter movie. So
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know. I think, because my son was very young when those movies came out, and I just didn't go to the movies a lot back then. Yeah. So, but it's still one of my blind spots. So maybe that put me at a little bit of a disadvantage to get a lot of the references. But the game itself does a great job of making you feel like a real student in Hogwarts. There's a ton of game here, but the designers never make it feel overwhelming, and it presents its open world in a very accessible way from a design perspective, which I definitely like. And all of this would be nothing if the gameplay wasn't good, and not only and that wasn't the case either. The exploration is fun, the combat's a blast. I was always continually looking forward to encounters just so that I can hone my spells that I was continually getting throughout the game. The missions are engaging, and you always feel like you're making progress through the story. And like Neil Mental, I have yet to finish it, but I did thoroughly enjoy my time with it so far.
No, that's a phenomenal pick, dude, for a lot of reasons. Jay the Destroyer, sir, what is your number 3 pick of 2023?
I had 2 back-to-back remakes. So number 3 is Dead Space.
I knew it. I freaking knew it, dude.
Forgot about that one.
I beat the original, loved the original, loved this one. The sound was amazing with headphones. It's unbeatable. Yes. I don't know what else to say. They really did what, the disappointment of last year with Callisto Protocol was just unbelievable how disappointing that game was. And this, they tried to be Dead Space. You can't fake it. This was the real deal.
Indeed.
And I just want them to, and you know what? If they go the route of redoing 2, which was to me even better than 1, that's great. I'd love to see a real new Dead Space game.
You know what? I think that there is something to be said about what you're talking about, Joe, Jada Destroyer. It's there. I'll put it this way. It sold very well. It reviewed very well. It's easy. It's EA. Let's call a spade a spade. They're going to make they're going to remake 2 if they're not have already. I believe that. I mean, and I think they could get it done and drop it this year. Maybe they drop it this year because, well, they've been working on the. I would imagine the minute of 1 finished, they started working on 2. Maybe it's not this year. Maybe it's the beginning of next year. I, like you, would love to see it. I cannot believe that that's not on my list, but that's because this year was so crazy. Dead Space 1, in the way that they present it, is even more terrifying than it was originally. It is, and with headphones on, it's just phenomenal, especially when you hear them around the corner in your right ear. It's and you play in the dark, put on the headphones. It's creepy AF. That's a phenomenal pick, dude. A phenomenal pick. Neo Mental, what is your number 3, sir?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, wow. Yes. Good for you, man.
Glad to see it's on someone's list.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a huge D&D nerd. I mean, I've been playing since friggin' first edition. And I feel that captured, I mean, it captured everything. Another one I didn't get it. I got into it late because I wound up getting into it when it came out on the Xbox. My friend was telling me to play it because he was playing it when Starfield, I think, came out, or he was playing it with Starfield, something like that. And he was like, dude, you got to play this game. This is like playing a campaign. And, as soon as I booted it up and started playing and I heard the DM talking, it was just like, oh man, the feels. It was really good. It's I mean, like, I think what was great for me was what killed it for you. I mean, the menu selection is pretty massive and there's a lot.
It's over. I found it very overwhelming. Honestly, I really did. Like, it's so PC heavy that, and granted, Larian Studios did an amazing job making it available for controllers. They knocked it out of the park, but that menu was just it's just too dense for me, dude.
I think what I had to do was stop and look at, like, because it depends on the character type that you have too. So I think that you have to, because you can reorganize the whole thing. And I think once I stopped and was trying to look for where I wanted, what I needed from there, going forward, I didn't have a problem. Because like I said, like, there's a lot going on, but sometimes you don't even need a lot of that stuff. So, depending on your situation, but you can tailor that experience to what you need. And that's what I really liked about it. I think that there was a lot for everybody. And again, just the D&D aspect of it, the characters, especially when you start seeing some of these streamers get a little attached. There's a lot, but the game is dope and I really enjoyed it and I can't wait to get back to it. But that's going to be a while because I'm Division heavy right now. So
nothing wrong with that. Division's still pumping out the stuff. My number 3 pick is Hi-Fi Rush. A phenomenal game in every aspect. It's a second game for me in here from Tango Gameworks. Tango is a studio that is going to deliver, and obviously they do have a horror game coming out. Hopefully we'll learn more about what they're doing this year. Hi-Fi Rush is, again, that was a shadow drop. Like, that was like, hey, here it is, world, take it on. It won a ridiculous amount of awards almost on every award show, and it continues to win those awards as it should. This is an IP that I think is incredibly special. Chai as a character is endearing, and I think that his crew is, everyone on the crew is likable. There's nothing to not like about this game, and considering how games launch broken more times than they're not launching broken, this game launched perfect, as a shadow drop, no less. So that is my number 3 pick.
I didn't play it.
Dude, you will love it. You will absolutely love this game, and you will love the writing is on point. It's the sound design is phenomenal. You definitely got to get to it. But Jay the Retro Gamer, what is your number 2 pick, sir?
The runner-up for my game of the year
Bones
is Blasphemous 2.
Oh, wow. Okay. I heard that it wasn't as good as the original.
No, I mean, I'll admit that I was intimidated by the original game's steep difficulty when it came out. I think it was 2019. But I did pick it up again in 2023 and was able to finally beat it, and I loved it. I did it because I knew the sequel was coming out this year, and it is a fantastic sequel. It's just as challenging, but I think in this one's they make it a little bit more accessible than the last game. I love the religious overtones of the world. The story and characters are just that crazy in the best possible way, but good luck understanding the story. The game itself, though, is a pleasure. I mean, you wield more weapons this time. You only had one in the last game, but this one you have 3, and they all feel great.
Okay.
You know, it also animates well, and your character moves perfectly in tune with your inputs, so you always feel like you're in control. The enemies, and especially the bosses, are nothing short of epic. The music, which I know a lot of us sometimes overlook and overlook an aspect of the game, is awesome in this. Is one of the few that I actually want to hunt down the soundtrack for. Map design, which is a critical part of any Metroidvania, is well designed. It's easy to navigate around to find out where you got to go. And most fans of the genre, including myself, easily call this the best Metroidvania of the year, and well worth it if you're up for a little challenge.
Nice. That's a good pick, man. Excellent. Jay the Destroyer, what is your number 2 pick for 2023?
Real quick, I hope that everyone sees that how different our lists are, even though we have a couple of, those staples that pretty much show up on everyone's list, that we do have a couple of real oddball games here and there. Yeah. This is not an oddball game, but I haven't seen it on anyone's list. When I was growing up, I was always the weirdo who, didn't want a Nintendo system, even if I had it or not. I always wanted the Sega system. I always wanted the Master System, the Genesis, the Saturn, the this, the that. So this game for me just it hits me like my God, Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name. And when I found that Daytona 2 is in it, my mind exploded. That I could sit and play Daytona 2 and Fighting Vipers 2, which I don't know if that was ever even released here.
I don't think it was, dude.
No, Fighting Vipers was released on the Saturn, but Daytona 2, I don't believe.
No. I know that. Thanks a lot. I'm talking about Fighting Vipers 2.
No,
never came out in the arcade here. Okay, Fighting Vipers 2. There's no home release for Fighting Vipers 2. There's no home release for Daytona 2. Only in the arcades in America was Daytona 2. And to have that I could play it on my Xbox is incredible. And it is a perfect port. And the game, so that's besides this game. So Like a Dragon, this one, the story was awesome. You could jump into it, I feel, even if you've never played any of the other ones. It's not rocket science. It is just great. If you love Sega like I do, this game is a celebration of Sega.
Celebration.
I love it. That's a great pick, dude. And I know you when you told me when we were talking, you were like, you could play Daytona 2. That's just such a Sega thing, right? Like, that's amazing. Neil Mentor, what is your number 2 pick, sir?
Starfield.
What?
Yeah.
Starfield. I'm genuinely shocked.
The Starfield should have been better than what we got, but the reason why for me it didn't hit the way it's supposed to hit was because I have thousands of hours in No Man's Sky across multiple accounts, across multiple systems, because I bought it everywhere. My problem with the game was once you got to a certain point, everything else, I could kind of see where things were going. I mean, the planets themselves were the aspects that I was looking forward to, the No Man's Sky-like stuff, was not where it needed to be. So it kind of let me down in that aspect. And it was like, now, granted, I got like, I think 600 hours in the game. I can't remember at this point. I mean, there would be days where I was just like working on my ship. There'd be days where I was working on my base. I loved the game. I played it ad nauseum. But it got to a point where it was like, all right, I am now done. Like, I've done all of the quests, I've done the things, and by the time I beat it, I was just kind of like, I wanted to stop playing. I think I fatigued myself a little bit.
Yeah, 600 hours will do that to you.
Yeah. But again, I think the problem was so many of those No Man's Sky aspects kind of burnt me out before I even got to it. So, although I will say, and I've been saying this for the longest time, No Man's Sky had started something that people were going to pick up on. And when they got it right, we're going to get some really good games. And I think Starfield is the next level for that. And when someone else gets this right, they're going to push that forward. Because I think that there's only so much you could do. Like with No Man's Sky, you have literally like billions of planets, but when you break it down, they're all the same. It's all procedural. Starfield had to kind of compact that into like 1,000 planets, but even then those planets are procedural, so it looks better. Your quantity is smaller, but it's the same. So I think that on the next generation we'll probably get a bigger palette and maybe bigger planets in terms of what's in those planets. But past that, man, I mean, you were attached to a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm really mad that I had to romance that other chick before I realized you could romance Andreja, because you married her. I couldn't stand that chick. I mean, I was trying to kill people, and she's like, "Oh my God, you can't do that." And I'm like, "Well, what do I need you for? Get out of my crew. Get out of my crew." I wanted to steal. I was under the impression that every ship you steal, you'd have a sandwich. I wanted a cargo bay of nothing but sandwiches, and I couldn't do that. That was what I was looking forward to. And at the end of the day, I'm stealing all these ships. I mean, I even found a cruise ship, a party ship, and I murdered everybody.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did, folks. Yeah, he did.
I went in there and I even sent him the video. I was laughing like a pirate. It was the funniest
thing. Hilarious.
But then I couldn't steal a ship. So I'm like, what's the point? I killed them to steal a ship. I killed them. I try to steal a ship. I'm like, nope, you can't do that.
You can't fly the ship, sir. Day reads, he says Sarah was a goody two shoes. Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was.
Well, to be fair, once I did marry Andreja, I tried to kill somebody and she told me I couldn't do that either. But she forgave me and gave me a second chance.
All right, well, there's that. Okay, so my number 2 pick, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be Hogwarts Legacy. What an incredible love letter to anything that is Harry Potter and the Wizarding World. I think why I fought so hard for this game when I was being very publicly when I publicly bashed the Game Awards. There's no hair on my tongue, folks. I think what happened is they allowed for political shenanigans to get in the way of celebrating games, and it disgusted me. And again, this wasn't just the Game Awards. There were several big sites that decided to draw a line in the sand and say we weren't supporting this game because it was the ownership of the IP was to a woman that unfortunately said some things that a lot of people didn't like. And I think by doing that, you hurt the actual creatives that were behind this game that had literally nothing to do. They never even saw this woman. They were fans. They were tasked to make a game that, by all accounts, in many years before it, because it was a movie-related type of IP, should have fallen in on itself, should have failed, and it didn't. And the fact that they got really no quality recognition, especially on the world stage, as the Game Awards, which again, you may not like it, you may not like Jeff Keighley, but the truth of the matter is that the industry does need the Game Awards because it is the biggest and most represented Game Awards across all of the mediums, and that's I'm talking about going up against the BAFTAs. The BAFTAs are big, sure, And some of the other award shows are big, but they're not as big as the Game Awards. And this was an opportunity for this team to win some awards, as they should have, and they weren't even recognized, and it's gross. But that's my number 2 pick. I absolutely loved it. In any other year, it would have been my game of the year, but it's not this year because 2023 was just it was just too dense of a year for games. So now we're getting up to the big one for everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Jay the Retro Gamer, what is your game of the year 2023?
I tried to keep other ones brief to afford me just a little extra time on this one. Number 1, Spider-Man 2.
Okay, that's fair.
So let me get this out of the way. This game has a little bit of an unfair advantage, as the character of Spider-Man and the world around him have been a favorite of mine all my life. So I'm already invested, but it has that power over me. But like the saying goes, with great power comes the responsibility to make a great game. This game not only exceeds it, but not only meets it, but exceeds it. To me, it's not only the best Spider-Man game ever made, but it may be one of the best pieces of Spider-Man content across comics, movies, cartoons, and you name it. The comic, this game is the definition of a blockbuster. It's a game with a lot of action set pieces, but also a lot of heart. The combat is familiar, but it's more varied, but it's always satisfying. What do you call it? There was, some new standout additions. The web.
I see what's happening here.
What?
You are in Sony Studios right now. That's why. That's where you're at.
See,
yes. Well spoken. That's because Lion Jim Ryan is feeding him what to say.
Yeah. Are you in Jim Ryan's house right now? Is that Jim Ryan's piano? Is that Jim Ryan's piano?
Look,
that's what's happening.
It is just an amazing. The game itself is just amazing, and not only is the game itself, but normally I'm not. Unlike you, Neil Mental, I'm not as invested in the story. This one was the complete opposite. I was completely invested in the story. The relationships between MJ and Peter, between Peter and Harry, between Miles and Peter. Everywhere you looked, there was an interesting story going on, and there were missions that kind of moved all that stuff along. But at the end of the day, it is still a fantastic game in itself. Yes, I could nitpick on a couple of things. Like you said, Neil Mentor, earlier, I was not a fan of the Mary Jane sequences. Some of the side activities of the game, could use a little bit of work, but nothing at the end of the day could ultimately ruin the huge smile I had while I was playing this game. It's not only my game of 2023, but it very well may be one of my favorite games of all time.
But there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, you like what you like, and I have to agree with you. I think that where the game shines outside of its regular combat, which the combat is really, really good. It's familiar, but it works. They didn't need to change the dial on the combat. But I think for me, out of all the relationships that you do go through during the game, for me, was the relationship between Harry and Peter. I think that is the absolute highlight of it. I thought, again, I think they overused Miles saving Spider-Man way too much, making way for, because Spider-Man is not going to be in it. Miles is going to be their Spider-Man moving forward, and that's no spoiler, folks. That's Insomniac has said it themselves. Moving forward is going to be focused on Miles, and there's nothing wrong. Miles is an amazing character. I just thought it was overused on how often Peter needed to be saved by Miles versus the other way around. Is again, he's Spider-Man. He's been in this world for X amount of years versus someone that's only been doing Spider-Man for a little bit. So there's that would be my critique. But that's a solid pick.
I mean,
at its absolute lowest level, have you seen? At least for me, I haven't seen better graphics this year. I thought that was the prettiest game of 2023, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, and look, that whole sequence, for those who played it, that whole sequence at the amusement park, I just remember finishing that and my mouth was just on the floor.
That's
not
yeah.
only
It's
a fun
good.
game, but it was just a story sequence that just was perfect for Spider-Man.
Can you turn your location data on so I can see where you're at?
No, stop it. Jay the Destroyer, what's your game of the year, dude?
So that'll make it easy. I'll tell you, one of the best things this year was the time that I have spent with my son.
Okay.
Playing games, Be the Destroyer, and he platinumed this game, and it was one that we pretty much played together. And it's his year of the game of the year also.
What is happening?
Spider-Man 2.
I mean, listen, that's his
I don't know
pick.
what else to say. There's really not much else to say. Jay, the retro gamer, said it all. There's really not much to add.
Okay. I mean, listen.
Anything was equal to this year.
I mean, listen, again, I would disagree with that personally, but that's perfectly fine. I think it was a fine game. I just think that it was, And
I have received no money from Dancing Shoes Jim Ryan.
Well, he doesn't have any money to give you, brother. He sold all his stocks, and he's doing interviews in dirty T-shirts. Where do you think his money is? Sorry,
exactly.
I know where this is going, and I'm not happy.
Well, listen, I know where it's going, but it is what it is. Neil Menta, what's your game of the year 2023, sir?
Cyberpunk.
Okay, I mean,
yeah, game of the year for me was Cyberpunk. I literally, wow, I'm a little stuck right now. Anyway, unfortunately, it came out a couple, 3 weeks after Starfield, and I wanted to finish Starfield before I got into it because I knew that once I started Cyberpunk, I wasn't going back to Starfield. And I knew that we got the 2.0 would start with Cyberpunk, so I had planned to start from scratch, and which I did. And it literally, they had refined so much. When I logged in with my original save, it literally, like, all my like the whole thing wound up being stripped. I was like, I'm gonna have to start over anyway, so I just put it to the side. I started over and was really, really reminded of how well, and you want to talk about graphics, how well that game was, well, it wasn't created that well. The amount of bugs that I had in Starfield was mind-boggling. Like, I had three critical errors in Starfield where I had to start over. I was able to backtrack a few times, but the problem with Starfield was the save file is so humongous. Like, I save, like most people, every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So I wound up having like 100 saves. Now, the problem was, as I was working, sometimes, I'd take a break while I was working because I was working a lot of remote this year. So I was going from Xbox to PC, but it would take like a half an hour to sync because the save file was a gig. So once I brought it down, I was able to save between 15 saves. I was able to go back a lot quicker. But the problem with that is I had less backtracking time. So I kind of stopped playing on the PC because of it. With Cyberpunk, even when I first played it, I didn't have almost any glitches or problems.
Yeah, you were one of the few that actually had literally no bugs when you played the original, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think Starfield said, hey, all those things you didn't get, I'm giving you. But anyway, Cyberpunk was just crafted. The story was great, and I think that if you finish the DLC, the ending was so Shakespearean almost. It was like, whoa. Like, I wasn't necessarily thrilled with the ending, but they gave you an ending that was the best ending, which is pretty sad, out of all the possible endings. And it was bittersweet. So it's just that the game as a total was amazing. The storyline, Idris was in there. He was dope. So much was going on, and I just think that as a whole, because they said we're not getting in more DLC for it, going forward, they have some things they could do. They just really kind of give you a nice bow tie. As stories go, amazing. And I feel that it was the best game of the year, looks-wise, play-wise, and story-wise.
No, good. So that's a good pick. For me, folks, it's going to be Starfield, no surprise there. I think Bethesda did something incredible. The scope and scale of the game is just, it's unlike anything I've played before. I mean, sure, I've played a ton. I've beaten almost every Bethesda big open world RPG, and this game gives you so much choice. The worlds are massive. The relationships are all matter. You can get married, you can get divorced, you can take on different roles. It's just, the character that you designed in this was the character that you designed. It's the best version of a role-playing game that you could possibly have. Sure, there were some bugs. Sure, there were things I wish that they did, especially when it comes to the traversal. I think a land vehicle of some sorts is necessary. That is supposed to be coming. They've, whether that's a mod or that's coming directly from Bethesda themselves, they need to address the jumping around thing. Got very, very long in the tooth towards the end of the game, trying to get from one part of the map to the other. I would much rather be able to have some sort of a hoverboard or something, some mechanical thing that was on your back. Or, I mean, it's space. You can pretty much do, imagine anything that they can make it work. I just hope that they do, because again, I loved finding the bases and going in and killing pirates or killing, another faction that I'm up against. But getting there was a bit of a sometimes a hassle, but still absolutely phenomenal work from Todd Howard and the team. Looking forward to see what they do in Shattered Space, which is the DLC coming out this year. So that's my game of the year, 2023, Starfield by Bethesda. Jay the Retro Gamer, what's the score, brother? What are we talking about? Who is the group game of the year?
When everything gets totaled, it actually was closer than you think. But ultimately, the number one, the group game of the year is going to be Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
I no.
Sorry.
That's the what came?
Surprisingly, the number 2 game was only 2 points behind, and that was Hogwarts Legacy.
I figured as much. That was going to show up close. Yeah,
you know what? It's my own fault. Because, like Jay said, I could have moved it higher.
It's your list.
No, I should have.
It's your list. Well, listen, there it goes, folks. A group game of the year based on the point system is Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac Games for the PlayStation 5. And listen, that's just
a thumbs down, because that's what I'm doing.
It is what it is. That's the point system, folks. We can't argue with the points.
Next year there'll only be 2 people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, that's okay. That's okay. Listen, it's a fine game, and that's why it was my number 10. It was in my top 10, as it deserved to be there. But listen, that's the way the ball bounces. So before we get on out of here, folks, we are going to do have one more topic to get to, and that is our pick most anticipated game for 2024. Jay the Retro Gamer, sir, let's start with you.
Well, one of them, like you said at the top of the show, it had already come out, so it's pretty much a lock that Prince of Persia: Lost Crown is going to be on the list somewhere. So that was my most anticipated up until now. But for the rest of the year, I think the number 1 game is going to be Star Wars Outlaws.
Okay, that's a really good pick. That's a strong pick.
I hope to God that it's, it lives up to, the hype. But 2 other smaller games I just really wanted to mention real quick, maybe not too small. Black Myth Wukong.
Ah, that looks phenomenal, dude.
That game looks sick. And another one, Rise of the Ronin.
That looks phenomenal. Yes, that actually looks really good. That's PlayStation 5 exclusive. Yeah, that looks really good.
And fingers crossed, Sony will announce the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm certainly crossing my fingers for it.
Yeah, no, those solid picks. Jay the Destroyer, what are your most anticipated game or games for 2024?
I know it's not this year, but it doesn't really matter. I'll just keep this as my most anticipated until it comes out. So I love horror. I mean, look at this background. I'm pretty much in hell. OD. There's nothing that I am looking forward to more. I want to know what it's about. I want to know what's going on. I want to know everything about it. So OD, without a doubt, this year's most anticipated and next year's most anticipated.
Nothing wrong with that, dude. I mean, obviously, you know, 9 Inch Nails is going to be doing the soundtrack, which is amazing. And
not 9 Inch Nails, just so you know. It's
going to be Trent Reznor.
It's Trent Reznor. It's not going to be like, you know, who knows what it's going to be. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But it's you know, whatever. Whatever. I get it. I got it. Yep.
It's a strong pick, and if it turns out like I think it's going to be, where it's going to be episodic in the way where they tell these horror anthologies.
Who knows?
You know, based on who's directing the first. You know, again, this is supposed to be episodic. That's the rumor? If they're able to pull it off and they can tell it in an anthology, and if you're a horror fan like Mrs. Boom and I are. We watch a lot of those, and usually those stories are told where, yes, each story is in individual story for said person, but somehow or another they all converge and they all matter. They all meet in one way or another. I think that's what he's attempting to build. I hope that's what he's attempting to build. That's a good pick. Neo Mental, what is your most anticipated game for 2024?
Well, it's a toss up, like Outlaws, because, you know, I mean, that's Ubisoft, and they're literally building that off of the Snowdrop engine, which is what they use for the Division. So I'm really looking forward to that. But probably more than that is Light No Fire. You know.
Good one. Yeah. Well, you're a fan of the developer. You're a fan of the game No Man's Sky, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that they have been in development for 5 years and had not said a thing while giving us all these updates for No Man's Sky is beyond for me. The level of dedication that they've given us, I can't wait to see what this game is going to be like. I'm really looking forward to it. So, you know, that's probably number 1 and number 2 on my list. It's not Spider-Man, so let's put that out there.
What can I say? Don't let it bother. The numbers don't lie, folks. That's the group game of the year, Spider-Man 2. My number 1 pick. We just got a chance to see it. I've watched the video now, the 4K trailer for it now 6 or 7 times. I'm an old school cat. I'm old. I went to the theaters to see Raiders of the Lost Ark with my parents. And it is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I am so stoked to play as Indiana Jones. I think that they did the character model justice. I think the voice actor, what is his name? Troy Baker. Yes, Troy is a fine pick for it. And again, Troy's older, obviously, like us. So he does, when he gets into character,
we're much better looking than him. Sorry to say that. Just so you know, I mean, all 4 of us are much better looking than
Troy Baker. Do you hear that, sir? I don't know. I don't agree with that. I'm going to be honest with you, but I love the fact that, you know, look, when before we knew Troy Baker was doing it, and I watched it, and I, like everyone else did, I was like, that sounds like Harrison. He did such a great job. I cannot wait to play it. It is in a 10 minutes worth of gameplay that we saw, it invoked everything I love about Indiana Jones. There was comedy, there was seriousness. I like the fact that, you know, there are third-person aspects for traversal. I like the first-person aspect of it, especially with the puzzles. I think this is going to be phenomenal. Machine Games, they don't miss, folks, so I'm looking forward to that. But that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for Double Barrel Gaming presents Game of the Year 2023, which, if you happen to just be tuning in, is Spider-Man 2 Group Game of the Year. And again, we come to that decision through a point system. My brother Neo Mental is having a breakdown, and I'm okay with it because I quite enjoyed it. I love Insomniac. I love Ted Price. I think that team is just tip of the spear for Sony. They really are, and they're the workhorses of anything that comes out of PlayStation Studios. And Wolverine is going to be just as good. And, you know, we'll see what happens with the rest of the work that they have in the pipeline. But again, everyone here, they stated they wanted to not have outros. So what I will say is that thank you for over 200 people here that tuned into this. Again, this is one of the smaller shows of the year. Hopefully you enjoyed it enough to A, hit the like button while you're here, B, potentially subscribe if you're new to the channel, and more importantly, consider sharing this out on social media. And of course, let me just get to the outro itself. And folks, again, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us for 2 hours. Have an incredible Saturday. Have a great weekend. And I cannot wait for 2024. Take care, everyone.